Yo, what's popping, Scrublords? Deep Fried Beans here, and I want to teach you a couple things about an indie game known as Super Crate Box. Super Crate Box is a platformer game where the player runs to pick up crates that have weapons in them. When a crate is picked up, the score increases by 1. A new crate spawns at a random location on the map, and the player is given a random weapon that they have to kick ass with until they reach the next crate. As you may have guessed, there will be enemies that you have to defeat with the weapon you have at the time. This is one reason the game can be challenging to certain players. They must become reliable with each weapon and be able to make split-second decisions to stay alive. We'll get into the weapons soon, but first we have to introduce the 3 enemies you will encounter. The first and most common enemy are these pains in the ass. None of the enemies have canon names, so I call them small green boys. Small green boys tend to spawn in packs of 3 to spread their effectiveness. They are the weakest enemy and only a low threat, but their threat level rises as more are left alive. This can make them harder to kill and harder to dodge. The next enemy is also a low threat and spawns at about the same rate as small green boys, just not in packs of 3 thankfully. I call them pale floaty boys. The pale floaty boys are probably just skulls, to be honest. They float around the map and track you down like a Call of Duty hacker with a grudge. The third and final enemy in Super Crate Box is a very high threat and must be disposed of immediately. I call them big thick boys. Big thick boys are by far the most powerful enemy in the game. It takes a lot of firepower to take one down, and their sheer thickness makes it a hassle to jump over them. Sadly, we are not done with the enemies yet. Did you notice this huge fire pit at the bottom of the map? If you fail to kill an enemy, they will eventually fall into this pit and respawn at the top of the map in their angry form. Enemies in their angry form have a much higher movement speed, and because of this they are even harder to kill. Keep in mind that any damage you do to them before they enter the fire pit will carry to when they respawn. Now that we've learned the enemies, let's get into the weapons. There are 13 weapons in Super Crate Box, 6 of which are unlockable by the total number of crates you pick up in game. The most useless and unforgiving piece of shit weapon in the game is the default gun that you spawn with at the start of a game, the pistol. This gun can kill small green boys and pale floaty boys in 2 hits. Big thick boys, however, will take a whopping 10 hits to kill. This is the main reason why I hate this gun, because you have to focus all your firepower on a big thick boy to kill him, thus leaving you undefended on multiple sides. The best weapons in the game can kill multiple enemies at once. I call this factor crowd control. A nice example of a good crowd control weapon is the submachine gun, or SMG. The SMG can quickly massacre plenty of enemies, but be aware of its recoil. Its recoil can be negated by moving forward every so often, but this can be a tricky maneuver to pull off, especially in air. Another thing that negates its recoil is solid walls. If the map is filling to the brim with monsters, just sit back into a corner with the SMG, fire and jump at the same time, and the map will be clear soon enough. The next weapon, the shotgun, can be considered a crowd control weapon, but its range is quite limited and its damage can be unreliable. It can kill pale floaty boys and small green boys in 1 hit at close range. It will take 2 close range hits from the shotgun to kill big thick boys. So remember to always be moving when you have the shotgun. It also has a tiny pinch of recoil, so be on the lookout for that. Up next, we have the bazooka, or RPG. This weapon is definitely fluent in crowd control because wherever the fired shell lands, it creates a blast with a bigger diameter than your mom. The blast will insta-kill any monster, and lucky enough to be near it. The only downside is its reload time. It takes approximately 1 whole second to reload, leaving you completely defenseless until the cooldown is up. Remember the piece of shit gun I mentioned earlier? Now there are f***ing 2 of them. The dual pistols bring all the shittiness that comes with the single pistol, but with an added bonus. They can actually fire in 2 directions, the only gun that can do this in Super Crate Box. On top of this unique ability, it still does not put forth enough damage to actually make an effect at crowd control. Long story short, I hate this gun. The revolver is a great crowd controller if you can fire it fast enough. One of its bullets can kill small green boys and pale floaty boys instantly, but it takes 2 to take down a big thick boy. Think of the revolver as an upgraded pistol. #dual revolvers. If you main pyro in Team Fortress 2, you're sure to love the flamethrower. The flames will do damage to an enemy over time, so I will measure how long it takes for each monster to die to the flamethrower. The flamethrower is a decent crowd control weapon, but watch out for the 1.01 seconds it takes to burn big thick boys. The first weapon that you can unlock by picking up crates is a disc gun. The disc gun shoots a piercing projectile that insta-kills pale floaty boys and small green boys. However, it will take 2 hits to kill a big thick boy, which can be done with a single weapon fire because the projectile bounces off walls. The number one thing to remember about this gun is that it is the only gun that can kill you too. Because of this, I don't like this gun very much, but not as much as the dual pistols because the mines are a very unique weapon. When activated, the weapon will drop a mine that when stepped on, creates an explosion similar to the one provided by the RPG. When mines are deployed, they have an activation time in which they won't explode, lasting 1 second. Keep in mind that the mines will stay active even after you pick up a crate. The mines can be a very valuable asset because of this. If you happen to be stuck with a weapon you aren't good at, placed mines can provide cover as you scurry to the next crate. Another helpful strategy is to place a mine near a crate and wait for it to be stepped on. When it detonates, rush in and take the crate while there are no enemies within the general vicinity. I can say without shame that for all these reasons the mines are my favorite weapon in the game, hereby receiving the deep fried bean seal of approval. If you main Bastion in Overwatch, Heavy in Team Fortress 2, or Tachanka in Rainbow Six, you will love the minigun. The minigun is one of the most powerful weapons in Super Crate Box. It fires an insane amount of bullets at an insane range, but this gun also has an insane amount of recoil. Its recoil is easier to maintain than the SMG however, because if you hold down the move button in the direction the gun is firing, it negates the recoil entirely. While we're on the topic of the SMG closely resembling the minigun, the pro skills trick I mentioned earlier can be used with the minigun too. Next we have the katana, or as I like to call it.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
The katana is a melee weapon that has surprisingly long range for its model. Small green boys and pale floaty boys will be eliminated with 1 swift strike, while big thick boys will take 2. This weapon does something strange too. When you attack a big thick boy, it will turn them around so it will be easier to strike them a second time. It also hits multiple enemies at a time, making it a good crowd controller. The grenade launcher is literally the bazooka except the shell is a bouncy grenade. The final weapon in Super Crate Box is a laser rifle. When you fire the laser rifle, it takes a moment to charge up. During this time, a short laser beam comes out of the rifle. After it's done charging, the rifle will shoot a laser beam across the entire map, insta-killing any monsters in a direct line from the gun. Both the short laser beam and the long one will insta-kill, making this weapon very powerful. This weapon has a very steep learning curve as well, because it takes just the right amount of timing to get the job done. I know you guys have probably had enough of this game by now and you're getting tired of the MLG voice, but we still have 2 more things to cover, so I'll make them quick. There are 3 maps in the game and the same 3 game modes for each map. I will introduce the game modes first so I can describe the maps and strategies for each game mode. The first game mode is called Normal. It is the mode you start out playing when you first get the game. The other game modes are unlockable. The second game mode is SFMT, which I don't know what that stands for, so don't ask. In SFMT, the spawn rate is upped exponentially, making it harder to keep up with the enemy swarm. The third game mode I don't have much experience in, because I only have it unlocked on the mobile version of the game, but it is called Ambush. In Ambush, enemies are unlimited to spawning at the top of the map. In this game mode enemies will spawn anywhere. The first map is called Construction Yard and it is my favorite level because it's just easier to stay alive. Monsters take a long time to reach the fire pit, and pale floaty boys can't get to you easily. The second map is called Missile Silo and it is much harder to stay alive while playing this map because of this hole here. Pale floaty boys can catch you off guard by floating through this hole. The third, and hardest map is called Moon Temple. The reason it is so hard is because it has 2 fire pits, and enemies take less time to reach them. It is also very hard to use most crowd control weapons here because there is no way you can camp without a pale floaty boy coming to pester you. Anyway, that's all I have for this guide. Subscribe for dank memes and possibly more guides. Also, I'd just like to point out that Super Crate Box is free on the Steam store, so I'd go get it if I were you. And yes, This video is meant to be a parody of Swag. Go check out his channel.